So my name is Dr. Leslie Rogers, mental health professional and host of Mental Health Talk. The purpose of Mental Health Talk is to continue the dialogue on mental health and mental well-being. And today, my special guest is J. Paul Nadeau. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just to give you a little bit about Paul, Paul is a former police detective, hostage negotiator, and international peacekeeper, and author of 2 books, which we'll talk about later. Paul, what's an international peacekeeper?
Well, that is a peacekeeper. In my case, I was asked by the United Nations to join a peacekeeping mission in which many peacekeepers from across the world were asked to join as well. And so in 2005, they recruited internationally peacekeepers to go to Jordan during the Iraqi war to train Iraqi police cadets. So that's the international component of being peacekeepers drawn together for one purpose, one mission.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Mm-hmm. And you say you served a year in the military? I
did. Yes. Yes.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. So, Paul, I was reading your bio and you have 30 years of working with victims and offenders in abuse situations, murder investigations, and hostage taking, terrorist attacks, and so much on and on. What was that like for you? That's so interesting.
Wow, that's a loaded question. It was so exciting. And when I say that, interesting, because I like to experience different things, and just to stay in one job for 31 years, like a patrol officer, did not up to me. I wanted to get into the detective office ever since I was a boy, and I wanted to experience different careers within the police department. And when opportunities started to arise, like, hey, do you want to work in the special victims unit? Yes, I do. Would you like to be a hostage negotiator? Oh, yeah, I think I would love that. And there's an opportunity to go to the Middle East fight terrorism. Mm-hmm. Is there? Oh, wow. I'm there. Yeah, you got it.
Oh, my gosh, right.
Yeah, that's what it was like.
So you have an intensive history. And when you think about mental health, right, I'm sure a lot comes to mind. But when you think about mental health, what thoughts come to your mind?
Well, mental health is being healthy mentally. That's what we strive to do. It's like anything. If we have a sore in our body, we usually get it checked out. We don't ignore it. But regrettably, when it comes to mental health, it deals with our emotional and psychological and social well-being. A lot of us are afraid to bring the discussion up because we're afraid that we're going to be put under a spotlight and said, oh, no, you shouldn't feel that way. Well, guess what? If you break an arm, what do? You go to the doctor, you complain to somebody, hey, I think I broke my arm, and you get it taken care of. But when mental health is brought up, there's a stigma to it, which is so sad. But for me, to answer your question as to what mental health means to me, it is being in mental shape. And it is being able to deal with the onset of whatever comes your way and not to succumb to it. It is being strong. It is actually being able to enjoy the life that we're given. That's what I see it.
Absolutely. And you just summed it up. Mental health is about mental well-being, mental health and well-being, right? Exactly. So when we talk about mental health, and, I believe that we all as humans, we've been impacted by mental health in some way or another, either personally or vicariously, right? That's my belief. Do you concur? Do you think that we as humans have been impacted in some way or another by mental health?
Oh, we certainly have. You see, we were born into this world where life was empty and meaningless. And let me explain that. When we're first born, we don't associate any meaning to anything that's happening because we're just developing. As we grow older, we start to attach meaning to things that happen to us. And sometimes it's the wrong meaning. We just don't know how to figure it out. And so when somebody says something that might hurt us, we attach a meaning, oh, I must not be good enough. That's the wrong meaning to attach to what's happened. So everyone, in one way or another, has been affected by what is going on around us. And that lends to suffer our mental wellness. So we do suffer, every one of us.
How has mental health impacted you?
Oh, many, many ways. I suffered a lot when I was a child at the hands of an alcoholic father who really beat me and never supported me. And in school, back in the 60s, in a Catholic school on top of that, they weren't very supportive either. So I always had the impression that I wasn't good enough and that I would amount to nothing, because my teachers would even say, Nadeau, you're not going to amount to anything. I couldn't retain any information. So I was depressed, and I acted out as a result of not feeling included, not feeling seen, not feeling heard. And later in my career, my marriage wasn't the greatest, in that my wife at the time made it very, very clear that she didn't want me talking about my job. And being a police officer, a detective, and seeing everything that I saw and experienced, for me, that was really tough. And you know what it's like when you have a tough day at work. You just want to say, hey, you wouldn't believe what my day was like. Well, I wasn't able to do that. And so my youngest daughter was the one that I could actually confide in. But one of the things that I ended up doing is going to alcohol. And that seemed to be something that was trying to dull my pain for a while. And then at one point I became very depressed, but then I realized that nobody was coming to save me. I had to save myself. And so I started to build a very strong mindset, and it just flourished from there. Once I reinvented myself, and it was fine from there. But it's difficult.
Did you ever bring things home with you? Like, well, how do you separate your experiences from, being able to take those hats off and then come home and without bringing all that home with you?
I admitted to you earlier on that at one point, I think alcohol was my go-to person, because I couldn't speak to my wife about my day. So yes, I did bring it on, and I realized that maybe the drinking was getting the best of me. And I think a lot of frontline workers who don't have a way of venting or opening up or sharing their experience and stories, they need to sort of make themselves feel good. And some people turn to gambling, some people turn to alcohol. I happen to turn to alcohol, but I realized that was not what I wanted to do. So I put a stop to it. And fortunately, like my youngest daughter, who was always interested in police work, Dad, tell me more about detective work. She'd watch every forensic file television program. And so, I would say, okay, all right, here, let me share this with you. So yeah, it's kind of hard not to bring things home with you when you're in that front line capacity.
What are your thoughts about therapeutic engagement?
I am absolutely in support of therapy, of course. There are some people who cannot take control of their lives without the help of others. And we were not born into this world in solo packages. We were born into a family, which means that we need to depend on one another to get us through life. And therapy is one of those things that can really, truly help someone who needs more than just a few sessions. So absolutely, I'm for it, of course. One of the things, Leslie, one of the great lessons that I learned as a police officer is that we are more similar than we are different. And so if you get a room of 150 people and you ask them, were you bothered by that? You may get 70% no. But meanwhile, inside, they're saying, yeah, and I don't know how I'm going to deal with it. And I'm afraid of bringing that out. So yeah, of course it's out there.
Yeah. And even not only that, being the fear of being judged and ridiculed.
This is it. Well, and of looking weak. And this is what really upsets me, is that it's not a sign of weakness when you ask for help. It's like, what other part of your body? You break your toe. We talked about this before. You break your arm. You're not feeling well. You might contract COVID. Now, if you do, are you just going to stay there and say, oh, no, I can't go to the doctor. Don't want anybody to know I'm dying, but it's okay. No, you're going to seek help. And why are we not comfortable in seeking mental wellness help? I don't know. Let's train ourselves to be stronger, and let's put it into practice. It's a muscle, and we can build that muscle.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to make sure, though, sometimes you go into therapy and you have this resistance up or this avoidance up, and the therapy isn't working, and you think that, oh, this is no good. But it's not until you break down those resistances, right, and you become more open and susceptible to therapy, that you can realize that it's not the therapeutic process, it's me. And that's what therapy helps you get to. It helps you understand yourself enough for the therapy environment to be successful.
Exactly. I totally agree with that. Yeah, Viktor Frankl said that there is a time, between the what happened to us, the adversity, and our response, in which we can choose our response. And here's here's the thing. We do have that adversity that happens. We associate a belief to it. So the adversity happens, a belief happens, and we start to think about the consequences. What's this going to do? So the ABC, the D to that is the disputation, is that we need to dispute. Hey, so-and-so said that you're ugly.
Right.
And you're going, okay, well, wait a minute. Am I going to let that ruin my day? It's like anything else. It's that we're meaning-making machines. We attach far too much meaning sometimes to things, you know?
I have like this light bulb moment where I'm helping myself as well. Oftentimes, like when I'm doing therapy or when I'm speaking in the clubhouse rooms or when I'm just speaking, oftentimes I have a moment where I'm like, wow, you know, that's something I have to sit back and think about when I'm thinking about myself. So I often become more insightful.
Yeah.
When I'm helping others. Have you felt that way? Like when you're up helping others, sometimes you have this light bulb moment when you're like, wow, why didn't I think about that?
We all do, Leslie. We all do. We have, because, you know, every one of us will suffer from time to time from, you know, imposter syndrome, or am I good enough, or am I really ready for this? But the difference is, ones of us who listen to that voice and then shove it off. You know, we call it, like, sometimes I call my little voice, that negative voice in my head, I'll call it Bob. So Bob comes in to ruin my day. Hey, Paul, you can't possibly do that. I say, hey, Bob, get out. I have no time for you. So yes, when I'm speaking to somebody else, those light moments come on all the time. And I just remind myself, you got this. It's a muscle. Keep exercising.
Right. Absolutely. And so now that we're on Clubhouse, you know, you facilitate a Clubhouse called Overcoming Self-Sabotage. And I think it's a powerful room, a powerful space to be in, because you have different folks coming in talking about how they've actually gotten in the way of progress, self-sabotage. Can you define self-sabotage really quickly?
I certainly can. I got something written down, so I'll read a little bit as I go along. But really, the definition of sabotage includes this. Sabotage, the word sabotage, means to deliberately destroy, damage, or obstruct something. But self-sabotage refers to the behaviors or thought patterns that hold us back and prevent us from doing what we want to do. Now, some examples of self-sabotage, and you're all going to relate to some of these, I'm sure. If you've got a lot going on, here we go. Blaming others when things go wrong, not being accountable to ourselves and to others, choosing to walk away when things don't go right. We don't stick around. We just run. Procrastination, feeling overwhelmed. That's a form of self-sabotage. Picking fights with friends or family for no reason whatsoever other than to be seen and heard. Dating people that you know are toxic for you. So going back to the same kind of relationships, that's a form of self-sabotage. Trouble stating your needs, either in needs and desires in family, friends, work, romantic relationships, everyday interactions. You don't want to speak up because you're afraid of being misunderstood or not being accepted. And putting ourselves down, you know, thinking to ourselves, I can't possibly do this. If I ask that girl out, she'll never say yes. Or if I ask that guy out, he'll never say yes. I can't possibly ask her, you know. Yes, being overwhelmed, Paula. That's such a big one. Being overwhelmed is like, where do I go from here? And that is like, when we don't challenge the thought, we give into the thought. And in giving into the thought, then we become the hostages to ourselves.
So let me ask you, do you think that there's a link between self-esteem and self-sabotage?
Oh, a big one. A big one. Yeah, are you kidding? Oh yeah. What you think about yourself, that confidence that you bring into a room. Gosh, you know, you walk into the room, you own the room, and you're not cocky, but you're just confident. Things like self-sabotage are not going to take control of you because you're going to push them away. And everybody suffers from self-sabotage at some point. But as I said, it is the ones who know and have trained themselves not to let it sink in that, you know, just, hey, you know what, later, I don't want to see you. You know, I'm not going to the Poor Me Hotel, not going to the Why Me Lounge, none of that. That is, self-esteem is so important to develop. Once you have it, you can get just about anything you want in life. But if you don't have that self-esteem, you can fall very easily to self-sabotage.
Absolutely. And then past experiences with failure, right? Past experiences with failure, we tend to over exaggerate failures. So you know, if we didn't do good in our history or didn't do good in our past in a certain event, then future events, we're not going to do good either. And I'm guilty of that too. You don't do well in an interview, you're not going to do well in another interview, right? So you avoid and start picking different jobs because you don't think you're going to do good in different interviews. So I think that there's a powerful, powerful talk when you have that room. You and I wanted to, and I keep saying this, you have such a powerful voice, toward others and helping others and being able to empower others, and overcoming life's challenges. When did you know that you had a voice? When did you feel comfortable speaking out and using your voice to help others?
Oh, that is a really good question. I think it came to me when I was in college. I was taking a law enforcement course, and I remember being in one classroom in which I got great marks because when I got myself out of that disbelief that I couldn't do anything, I was really starting to accomplish great things. And I was in this one class where this one girl did not like me. I don't know why. I think she thought I was a browner or Mr. Cool. I don't know what it was. But one assignment one day was that we sit down across from someone and just get them to open up. That was part of interviewing skills, get them to open up. I was assigned to her. She was assigned to me. She didn't like me. Well, we started chatting and I got into her background. And within a very short period of time, she was crying and telling me about her whole life. And when the teacher tried to put a stop to, hey, the lesson's over, she told the teacher, she said, nope. She says, Paul and I have got some more talking to do. And then when I get on buses or subways, I'd get people to open up. It was about then that I learned that I could do something, with my skill. And when I became a detective, it just opened up right there where I knew I had it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. For me, I felt I was confident and self-sufficient. And, when I was working at the FBI, I was in management and being able to, navigate around things. But then when things become new, when you're confronted with new situations, like becoming a new psychologist, a new doctor, right? Then you start to get in your head and that confidence starts to somehow plummet, right? Or the confidence. And then you have to refine your voice. You have to refine, where is your voice? And Paula just said it. Paula said, behavior, what did she say? A learned behavior is hard to change. Absolutely. But let me finish this point really quickly. Being able, when you change environments where you feel comfortable, you initially feel comfortable in, and then you go to a new environment, you can be at risk for, having low confidence or because you're learning something all over again, like you're like the new kid on the block. Right. And I often give this example where working at the VA, I was asked to lead this interdisciplinary behavior team, a new psychologist leading a team with professional, seasoned psychiatrists, seasoned mental health professionals, seasoned medical professionals. I'm like, who is this little girl? Who am I going to be? This new psychologist is going to be telling people what to do, right? Or how to do it. But it's interesting because that's when you realize it's internal. What we feel about ourselves is internal, and often external people, they don't feel these ways about you. And it wasn't until that I led that team that I realized I was accepted from the beginning. They didn't think that I, wouldn't be able to do the job. It was me. It was the thoughts I had about myself. So being able to have confidence in yourself to know that you can do good jobs in new situations. They're new, but then you learn about it and you learn to grow and develop with that situation. What do you think about that?
Oh, I absolutely agree with you. Perfect practice makes perfect. It's not just practice, it's perfect practice. But here's the thing. And to address, and thank you, Paula, for your lovely questions.
Yes, Paula, thank you.
Oh, wow. She's great. A learned behavior is hard to change. How true that is. But here are the two words that really resonate with me. Learned behavior. If it was a learned behavior, it can be unlearned. And unlearning something takes practice. And as you said, doctor, it is about throwing yourself in there and trying, and then realizing that, yeah, you can do this. There's a book called Atomic Habits that talk about, just try something for a couple of minutes. Try doing something different for a couple of minutes and add to it. But it's like a muscle, Paula. The more you try something, and it's replacing that negative self-chatter with positive self-chatter. And here's the problem is that both those self-chatters, the positive and the negative, they both have the same voice. But one is you. One is telling you you can't. One is trying to throw you down. And you just have to be that fighter that says, no, no, no. I'm going to learn.
But it becomes habitual.
Yes.
It becomes habitual. That's why it's difficult to change. Learned behavior is hard to change because it becomes habitual. Guess what? We become fixated on habitual behaviors because they serve a purpose, right? They serve a purpose. And if they serve a purpose, like for instance, if we engage in a negative behavior to improve our mood or to avoid something that's difficult, then guess what's going to happen? It's going to be maintained, and we're going to continue to engage in that behavior. If we're using avoidance to avoid being hurt, for instance, then guess what? If it works and keeps us from being hurt, then we're going to continue engaging in that behavior. So in that respect, a learned behavior is hard to change. Absolutely, especially if it becomes habitual, if it becomes a habit, unless you break that habit with a new productive behavior.
And I love what you just said because it's so true. It is about breaking the habit. But as we know, any new habit takes a little while to become part of us because we can reprogram our brains. We really can. And I see that Jen Lisa, is it? I hope I'm getting your name right.
Jen Lisa.
Yeah. Hi. How are you? Yeah, it takes practice, and it depends on how negative it had in one person's life. It's true, but I use myself as an example, and not that my life applies to everybody else's. Everybody else is walking a different path. I don't know which path you're walking in, but I know that in my life, I was locked in trunks. I was beaten. I was taken to a slaughterhouse to watch a slaughtering of pigs when I was 7 years old. My father brought me in, unbeknownst to me, what I was going to experience. There were so many things that he did that I could write a book on it, and I probably will at some point. But I didn't let my past equal my future. I really had to come to a point of realizing that I really had to do something in order to get myself out of this negative state. And once I started to believe that I could, it just changed my life. And thank you. It's like I was saying a little bit earlier. Yeah, those things happened to me, but they also happened for me. It's how we look at it. Do I want to feel this pain all the time? No, I don't. Okay, there's a choice. So I have this thought. What do I do with this thought? I don't want to feel this way anymore. Okay, well, what do I do? I have to take some action. How do I take action? Well, maybe I go to a therapist, or maybe I just practice this for a couple of days. I start doing this consistently. You don't get a beach body by going to the gym once, and you don't get a strong mindset by only going and tapping into it once in a while. You got to keep moving on it. And as you said, what we do is we do this consistently, and the more we do it, the better it gets. It's just the stronger it gets. It's just great. Yeah.
And oftentimes when I think about self-affirmations, right? Affirmations, positive affirmations, being able to make those habitual. The more and more you say it, the more and more it will become true to you, like a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more and more negative you're about things, the more and more it's going to become true to you. The more and more you engage in self-affirmative statements, right? I am good. I am not perfect, but I am good. I am great. I am whatever those stuff. I am lovable, right? I am unique. A lot of self-affirmation statements that you can say about yourself to allow it to be true to you. Let it become habitual, right? Again, negative behaviors become habitual because it serves a purpose. It serves a purpose. 15 years of counseling plus is how I've overcome learned negative behavior that was put on me when I was young. So it sounds like this underlying theme of negative childhood behaviors, right? Negative childhood influences, childhood experiences shape thinking as you go along.
The movie Goodwill Hunting with Robin Williams, and Matt Damon comes to mind. If you haven't that movie, I highly recommend that you do. And in the movie, we have this genius, young man, a genius, but he is a victim to his past. He was severely abused by his stepfather, or his foster father, rather. And he's trying different, well, actually, he's not trying different therapists, but different therapists are trying him out. He meets Robin Williams. And at one point in the movie, one great scene in the movie, Robin Williams looks at him, he says this line 3 times. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Sometimes we think that the bad things that happened to us when we were kids, it's our fault. And it wasn't. We were the victims. And we got to get rid of that victim mentality and choose not only to be survivors, but to be thrivers. And it really does come to that.
Yeah. Do you believe that it takes, quite some time for you to get to that point? As a child, you go through these experiences, and, as you grow up, you're exposed to different people, you're exposed to different learning experiences, you're exposed to different experiences altogether, right? For you, again, when did you get to a point where you knew, okay, it's not my fault?
Everybody lives a different experience. Everybody's going to have a different answer to this, or going to feel differently about this. For me, it was an up and down kind of battle at first, because I did get into depression, I did get into alcohol, and then when I realized, hey, you know what, dude, it's time for you to really take control of your life. It really is, because take control of it for you.
Yeah, I imagine that you've gone through triggers and other stuff to get to that point, obstacles, triggers. And to get to that point. Yes.
Yeah. And we really have to be champions for ourselves and realize that if it does take time, it's okay. It's okay, because it's our journey. The important thing, like Lao Tzu said, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. But the idea is that we keep moving forward. We just keep moving towards that betterness, and we can do it. It is a choice. It is really a mindset shift. And once we get it, we go, aha, that's it. I am good, like I got this, Yeah.
And that's that moment that I felt, when I led that team, I had this moment like, oh, wow, I am good. Wow. But being able to believe in yourself enough to allow you to engage in new, experiences without being afraid. Yes, Jen Lisa, fear is a serious threat. Yes. And it can be immobilizing sometimes, girl.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Fear can stop you in your tracks, stop you from movement, stop you from successes. Yes. But it's important to understand where that fear develops from or has developed from. Right, Paul?
I certainly agree with that. And you know what? It comes down to this, and I learned this over a number of years. Whose life is it anyways? Why do we put so much attachment and so much meaning to what other people think of us? Because really, they've got their own lives. And if they're going to talk about us, they're going to talk about us. It doesn't really matter. What matters is what we think about ourselves and bringing the best person in ourselves out. And here's the thing. In our minds, we have 2 closets. I write about this in my book. On the one side of our closet, we have these dark emotions. We have this fear, this misunderstanding, this doubt, all these dark things in this closet. But on the other side of the closet, in our brains, we have hope, love, wonder, excitement. Why don't we go into the closet of our minds every morning and choose our attitude? And as you alluded to earlier, it is about starting your day off positive mantra. I get to have a great day today. Today's going to be my day. I'm going to get to choose a positive attitude. And when I walk out, I'm not going to walk out like this. I'm going to walk out like this. I'm ready for the world. Come for me. I've made it a mission in the beginning of the day to choose how my day is going to unfold. I'm not going to leave it up to chance. I'm going to take control of my morning, take control of my mantras, and pick my attitude and go out and kick the world's butt.
Right. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it that you brought that up, because it's often about us believing how much power and control we have over our lives. And oftentimes I think that we don't believe that we have enough power and control over our lives, or in somewhere along the route, we've lost that control somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere along the way, we've lost that control, whether it's trauma or whether it's other experiences that you've been through. Somewhere along the road, we've lost that control and we don't know how to get it back.
Well, here's what I've discovered, and I'm glad that you brought that up because you're absolutely right. Thing is, our power and control is never really lost. It's just kind of shifted over in our brain. And here's where I found that it really applied. When victims of crime, victims of sexual abuse, when they blame themselves, why did this happen to me? What did I do wrong? Their power and control was shifted away. But as long as we can remind them that it's never gone, you can always access it, and you can access it with help if you need, but you're never without your power and control. It's always there for you to bring it back. You never lose it. You have the ability to take it.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. You are an author of 2 books,
Yes.
Take Control of Your Life and Damn It, Just Ask. And, I just love saying that. Damn it, just ask. Tell us about your books. Tell us about your book.
Sure. I think I got a couple of copies here. All right. Let's start off with Take Control of Your Life. And this is what one of the covers looks like. I'll hold that there. But the same book is also in this color, a little bit bigger. It's called Take Control of Your Life. This is the one that's helping save people's lives. And when I say that, I have readers who have written into me saying that these books have changed their life. One suicidal woman said that had it not been for reading my book, she probably would have taken her life. A homeless man wrote in to say that he's no longer homeless. He's got a job and he's got a home. So many people with anxiety and depression have found answers in this because it's my story. And it's the story of all the victims, or not all the victims, but many of the victims that I've worked with. And it is about empowering yourself and finding your strength to beat self-sabotage. So it's Taking Control of Your Life. Originally, the title, my first title, was Hostage to Myself, because that's what we do. We take ourselves hostages. And the way that I explain that to people is that as a hostage negotiator, when I saw a hostage and crisis situation happen, the hostage taker had all the power because it was an external force that said, no, I am in command here. But when we look at our own selves, when we take ourselves hostage, it's from internally. It's by the things that we say and the things that we feel and the choices that we make. But if we're the ones who took ourselves hostages, just as was in the comments earlier, we can unhostage ourselves, and there's ways of doing it. So that's that one. And then this one that just got released this week is called Damn It, Just Ask. And Damn It, Just Ask is really about how to get more out of life. And it is my principles on how to negotiate and get that job, how to negotiate and get that raise, how to ask that person out on a date. It really comes down to a simple formula in which I discovered over years of negotiating myself and getting people to cooperate and influence people. It comes down to 4 simple principles that I explain in the book. And that's what my book is about. I also have one coming out this week. I'm fingers crossed this week. And it is the Take Control of Your Life journal. And it's all about how to put your thoughts, your feelings into a journal. And it teaches you why it's important. And then it gives you a 90-day journal in which you can change your habits forever. And those are my books, yes.
Paul, what would be advice that you would give to the viewers about being motivated and empowering, being able to empower themselves through difficult times?
I'll start off by saying this too shall pass. This is a moment, and we've had millions of moments in the past. Imagine something that you went through years ago that you thought you would never be able to get out of, and you did. So this moment too shall pass. How we choose to respond. It's not so much what happens to us that matters. It's how we respond to what happens to us that does. We have to remember that we are stronger than our circumstances. And we have to remember that we're not in this alone. So one day, imagine we're on this great big boat together, and I'm sitting beside you, and we're rowing and rowing and rowing, and I'm tired. I'm just tired. So I turn around to you and I go, hey, do you think you could take over for me today? Because I can't do it. And you say, oh, I got you, Paul. Yeah, I got you. So you'll pick my oar and you'll help row the boat with me or for me. You're helping me there. And then a week from now, you'll feel that exhaustion, and you'll turn to me and say, can you do it for me? And I will be there. I do believe that there are different days of the week. We have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, cry day. It's all right to have your cry moments, but not, just not to dwell in them. We're all human. We're all these human beings living in this three-dimensional body and experiencing things that are coming to us, a million and one things, as you said, COVID-19 and all the anger that's been in the world over politics, over a number of different things. And these things do have a way to beat down on us. But remember one thing, let's not focus on the things that we cannot control. We cannot control COVID-19. Let's focus on what we do about it, what this moment is. There are 3 periods in our life, time periods. There's the past, the present, and the future. What happened 5 minutes ago, 5 years ago, I cannot change. I cannot go back there and change it. Why should I dwell in it? Why should I go back and visit and say, poor me, or why me? The future, as COVID-19 has taught us, it's so unpredictable. We can plan for it, but guess what? You're not going on that trip this year. No. But what is most important is this moment that we're living in right now. This is the most important moment of my life. Why? I get to talk with you for one thing, and all these wonderful people who are putting these comments down, and it's wonderful because we're having this conversation. It is about living so much in the moment. Yes, we are still standing by Elton John. Oh man, we should throw that song on. It's just, we are still standing, and that's so right. Yeah. So those would be my tips. I could go on and on and on, but you're going to shut me down.
No, it's excellent. I think that this is a powerful discussion, a discussion that we can have for hours and hours, right? That never ends because you get so much out of it. You take so much away, especially by hearing how we can be more empowered over our lives. Again, if you want to hear more about Paul, you can get his books. His books are on Amazon or in the bookstores. He has 2 books out now, Take Control of Your Life and Damn It, Just Ask. And then he has one other book coming out. I saw someone say that they want to buy your book, purchase your book. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your bravery and coming on and talking about your history. I think that it shows that you are human. When you talk about yourself, I often disclose things about myself. I posted something saying on Facebook, it's okay to fall apart. Tacos fall apart all the time, but we love them.
That's so true. And you're very well. Oh my God.
Sometimes, I'll go in my bed and cry. Sometimes I have those moments, but then what the good thing is that I'm able to get up and say, okay, I've cried it out. It's done. Okay, so Leslie, what are you going to do now? I've cried it out. It's done. So what are you going to do now? Right. And then I get up and move on. Right. So I think that we all have things and experiences in our lives that we go through. Right. And we think that we're the only ones, but we're not. Our experiences may be similar, but they're different. Our experiences may be similar, but they're different. But we still go through things. We're human. Right.
And guess what? It's like writing a book. Every chapter has not yet been written until you write it. So you write your own chapter. Don't let anybody else write your chapters.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. You write your own chapter. The future isn't here yet. Like Paula said, the future isn't here yet. So guess what? You have the power and control to write what is going to happen going forward. What's happened in the past, you can't do anything about. You can't change it. You can learn from it. You can learn from what's happened in the past to make, different decisions. But the future hasn't come yet. So you have the power and control to decide how your future is going to, what your future is going to look like. Oh my gosh, this has been such a powerful discussion. Thank you to our guest, J. Paul Nadeau. I am so excited that you were here again. He's in Clubhouse. He does a Clubhouse talk, overcoming self-sabotage, which is what he talked about a little bit today. Thank you guys for attending. Again, this is Dr. Leslie Rogers, Mental Health Talk, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you guys, and thank you, Doctor. It was a pleasure.